Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm not going to be sharing any tips and tricks. This channel is also about having conversations, and guys, today we need to talk. So I'm going to be talking about the best things about being pregnant, and I did have a really good pregnancy and there's things I really enjoyed about being pregnant, but at the same time there's some things I didn't like so much. We need to address some of these things, guys. The first thing I liked about being pregnant is the way that it boosted my self-esteem. And I know it's weird because most people think when you're pregnant, you're in your worst shape, you're fat, you're huge, and the last thing it does for your self-image is boost your self-esteem. But for me, it's not so much about how I felt when I was pregnant in terms of my self-image. It's more how the pregnancy gave me a fresh perspective on my image. So a quick background, I've always been someone who had like self-image issues. Like, I know I'm petite, I know that now, but then I always thought I was fat. And I used to be that annoying girl who, like, you know, would always complain to her friends how fat she is, how much she needs to lose weight and blah blah. Even though I was never really being fat, you know. But it's only when I was pregnant that I finally like saw myself for what I really was, because obviously things don't fit anymore. You know, you start expanding and you have to get bigger clothes, and that's fine because, you know, you're growing a human. But at the same time, I remember when we went for our baby moon and I was packing for the trip and I was looking at what bikinis to take, and it's lucky, like through my pregnancy transformation videos and pictures, it's lucky that I picked that particular bikini because it's the only one that fit me throughout my pregnancy. But when I was packing for our baby moon, everything looked so minute and I was just like, who the hell fit into this once upon a time? It was like, was I ever really this small, you know? And it just like jolted the reality into me, like, my goodness, don't ever complain about how big you are, because if you ever fit into this and if you ever go back to fitting into this, you're tiny. Like, wake up, girl. I think I would say the best thing about being pregnant is the perspective shift that it gave to me and how it made me realize my body size and appreciate myself for what I am. And since then, I haven't complained about being big, especially once I shrunk back to my size. I was like, do you know what? I'm tiny. Second thing I loved about being pregnant was feeling the baby move in my belly. I really enjoyed that. It's like an out-of-body experience. No one can really tell you what it's like until you experience it. And we took videos all the time. We would always document it, and, you know, just feeling the baby moving and knowing that they were okay.
Seems to be. Wow.
Sometimes it would get annoying, obviously, especially towards the end when you're trying to sleep and then you're getting your ribs knocked, and that wasn't fun, but it still made me feel like I'm a giver of life. It was just so magical and so special. And I don't know if people would say, oh, I hated, you know, feeling the baby move. I mean, I'm sure there's ups and downs, but generally speaking, just knowing you've got this living thing inside you that's moving around, it's almost like an alien like experience. But I loved it, and that was one of the best things about my pregnancy, and I cherished it. And if I ever get pregnant again, that's one of the things I'm going to be looking forward to, that's for sure. Number 3, I loved that being pregnant was a conversation starter. So it's one of those things which it just like is a magnet. It just attracts people to you, and as you're walking down, people would be like, oh, congratulations, or they would be like making comments about, I mean, I got lots of compliments about my bump and it being like a nice round huge bump. So I really liked that. I liked that it just helped to strike conversation, and I quite like to make conversation with strangers, and I like to talk to people and make friends or whatever. So I really enjoyed that. Obviously people like to get compliments, and I enjoy getting compliments because, you know, you want to enjoy the journey and you want to feel good and you want to think you look good. So, you know, it's nice to get people saying, oh, you have a nice round bump, oh, mine wasn't that round, I wish mine was that round. And I thought it was just great how it allowed me to, you know, just connect with people. The beauty with being pregnant is you get in front of line. Like, you don't have to queue when you go to the bank, when you go to the ATM, when you go anywhere that there's a queue. People see you're pregnant, they're like, come, give the pregnant lady a seat, stand up. It just gave me like preferential treatment, and I really enjoyed that. Like, especially in Kenya, where people don't generally stand up for you or, you know, let you go in front of them or help you carry stuff. Like, when I was pregnant, it was suddenly like people saw me. It was like for the first time people saw me and they were like happy to help, and that was really nice. So that's something which, you know, if you're looking to get pregnant or you're pregnant, yeah, that's one of the perks you're gonna enjoy. Overall, from my pregnancy, I would say I really felt like a superhuman, and it just gave me another perspective on just being a woman and how super we are. Like, we're built to put up with all manner of like body changes, hormonal changes. Your world is flipped upside down and you're just going through all sorts of like emotions, and you know, your body is working hard to like give life to another person. And I feel so much more empowered, and I think pregnancy gave me that. You know, I feel like I was already an empowered woman before that, but then being pregnant properly just made me feel like I'm a superhuman, I'm a superwoman, I can achieve anything, I can do whatever I put my mind to, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm just great. And going through the experience, the ups and downs, I was just like, wow, I can do anything. Maybe also because I had an easy pregnancy. So not to say this to people who are like hating their pregnancy and maybe it's not like the best experience or whatever, but maybe in retrospect, after you're pregnant and had the baby, you might feel like, oh my God, I went through that kind of crap. Hopefully you'll be able to connect with the experience, even if it's not during your pregnancy. Hopefully it's after your pregnancy, you might feel like that was actually pretty cool. Enough of the good stuff. Now we need to talk about the bad stuff, guys. Let's get in. I'll start with the symptoms. Even though I had a really easy pregnancy, there's some things I just couldn't put up with. Number one was I didn't like that I was nose bleeding, and I nose bled through my pregnancy. Like, I nose bled even before I knew I was pregnant. It was like the very first symptom, but I didn't know I was pregnant and I didn't know it was anything to do with pregnancy. And apparently, like, when you're pregnant, because you have so much like blood flowing through your body and your hormones are working overload, your hormones are on overload, your hormones are overworking. Anyway, your hormones are working really hard, and the supply of blood is like more than normal, and it puts too much pressure on the capillaries in the nose. And for some women, not everyone experiences this. I was one of those who experienced it, and to begin with, I didn't even know it was something that was normal because I didn't know anyone who'd experienced it. And even when I talked to my friends and my family members who'd had, you know, babies, they were like, what? I've never heard of that. I never nose bled. So it made me feel really weird, and I felt so isolated. The only comfort came from, you know, my midwife and my doctor saying this is totally normal, it happens to some women, don't worry about it. But I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't the worst thing, but it was, you know, it was kind of embarrassing. Like, sometimes I remember one time I was in a meeting, I think it was like a serious meeting, and then someone was like, are you okay? I think your nose bleeding. And I was like, oh shit. so you know, embarrassing things like that. I mean, obviously in the end they were like, it's okay, you're pregnant, I guess. So it's like, you know, you get a free pass from that, but generally speaking, it was not fun. This one I did not enjoy at all, and this was simply people touching my belly. I mean, I have to say, I've done that myself. You know, I remember touching my sister-in-law's belly when she was pregnant, and I thought it was a nice thing. And then when I was pregnant, I was like, no, it's not a nice thing. So please, guys, just to let you know, I mean, sometimes it's an innocent move and you don't know you're doing, but it was such an invasion of privacy, of personal space. I just felt so violated, especially when it was someone I didn't know. But it didn't really matter, honestly. Even my mom touching my belly, I was just like, ugh. And maybe it was a personal thing, but for me, I just didn't like people touching my belly, except my husband. I mean, obviously we would feel the baby move and we would touch it and he would talk to the baby in the belly, and like, he has all the right. But everybody else, strangers, people coming up to me, people I wasn't really that close to, and I was like saying hi, and they'd be like, oh, congratulations, and they'd just like start rubbing my belly. I didn't know how to say no, but I'm saying this now, guys. Don't touch pregnant women's bellies unless they've invited you to. Maybe ask, maybe say, can I touch, can I feel? Then let them brace themselves, prepare for it, and then allow you into that space. But don't just go uninvited, please. as much as it was a conversation starter, and that was a plus, and I really enjoyed that, it was also a conversation starter, but in a negative way. So I got people commenting about how big my belly was, a bit too much, you know, like I know my belly was huge, and you know, people have different bellies, different pregnancies, you carry different ways, there's no standard. Mine was one of the big ones. But then I got a lot of comments even from really close family members, like telling me how my belly was too big and comparing my belly with how theirs was when they were pregnant. And it just made me feel really bad. And I remember there was a point where I was very self-conscious about my belly, and I would, before I left the house, I would wonder what I'm gonna wear and whether I could, you know, disguise my belly and maybe not make it look too big, not attract too much attention. And that's no way to experience your pregnancy. That's no way to carry your pregnancy. So eventually I got over it. I mean, it took a bit of time and talking to people, and my husband really encouraging me and making me feel beautiful. But generally speaking, those comments got to me, and I'm sure they'll get to a lot of people. Just be really sensitive about people when they're pregnant. Be encouraging, you know, that they're going through a tough journey, guys. It's beautiful, but it's also a tough journey, especially if you're not having an easy pregnancy. You don't know what someone's going through, and don't tell someone, what, you're 3 months? You look like you're 7 months. There's no way, you're too big. Oh, are you having, you must be having twins. I'm sure people know what they're having, especially if they're going for regular checkups. I know it might be coming from a good place, and maybe you think twins is something that someone wants to hear they're having, or you think it'll be a good news. For me, I really hated those comments. It wasn't fun. So I would highly recommend, like, if you know someone who's pregnant and you see someone who's pregnant, rather than just coming in with your comments and your opinions, be encouraging, be supportive, and be happy, because it's a great journey. And I loved being pregnant. I really did. And I enjoyed my pregnancy, but not everyone is enjoying their pregnancy. So if especially they're having a tough time, it doesn't help when you give them other things to deal with. So that's the end of my video. I hope that this conversation is gonna be useful for some people who are going through this journey. If you agree with me, hit the comment section and tell me what you think. If you don't agree with me, let's have a conversation. This is the whole point of this video. If there's anything that I haven't mentioned that you experienced, please share with me so that we can talk about it. Things that you loved, things that you hated, things that you're still experiencing that you'd like to change. Let's have a conversation, because we need to get people to be sensitive about pregnancy and how to support us and help us enjoy the journey. Thanks again for watching. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. Bye!